Hello ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my name is Mr. SLIN, and today we're here to watch some competitive Team Fortress 2. I'm so excited to bring this to you guys because competitive Team Fortress 2 is my favorite game in the world. It is literally my favorite game in the world. There is no other game that I would rather be playing than Team Fortress 2. And today I'm going to be breaking down what it takes to be a good roaming soldier. A lot of you guys love playing roaming soldier. It's a class that a lot of people get into when they first start playing competitive. And I've been watching a lot of invite matches lately, and I wanted to bring this one to you guys. So we're going to be watching ESEA-Invite Season 20 between the Getawhale fan club and Kawaii 5-0. And the Getawhale fan club is currently third seeded in North America, so they're pretty good. And Kawaii 5-0 is up there as well. And Invite in general is the top 9 teams in North America. So you're looking at some pretty high level gameplay. And what I want to be talking to you guys about is just sort of breaking down what roaming soldier is and how to understand how to get value out of your plays, because a lot of people will be jumping around as a soldier and they're doing damage and they think they're doing a good job, but I want to give you guys a way to evaluate what exactly is it that makes a good play versus a bad play. And the way I see roaming soldier, generally speaking, is that it sort of breaks down into two buckets. You're in sort of two different modes at all times. So the first mode is holding. You're just holding the flank. All you're doing is staying alive and holding the flank, making sure nothing gets behind your team. Pretty easy. Second bucket is sort of plays that involve making space, and you can sort of throw sacrifice plays in there as well, but the main purpose of making space is to create an opening for your team to capitalize on, right? And we're going to be talking a lot about that as we watch this match. We're going to hop right in here and look at the game. I'm going to sort of sync up my times here in 3, 2, 1. Perfect. So we've got AIM here, the soldier for the red team. This is the Getawhale fan club. And right away you'll notice that AIM is using the original. It doesn't really matter if you're using the original or the stock launcher. They both have the same stats, so that really doesn't matter at all. But AIM is going to head towards the right side cafe, and he's immediately going to go for a flank. So down the right side, sees there's nothing over there, bombs in. And a key moment right here is when he's behind the enemy team. As you can see, looking through the walls, all the enemy's completely looking in the wrong direction, right? They're all looking at the left side of the map, and AIM has navigated himself to the right side of the map on top of the demo man. It's a really key point of what he's trying to do is turn the enemy demo man around. He's trying to turn the enemy team around in general, but when you're making space, it kind of falls into two categories, right? They're either looking at you or they're not looking at you, right? I mean, they're either going to try and kill you or they're not going to try and kill you. If they're going to try and kill you, you keep your distance and you're just turning them around. That's all you're trying to do. Stay alive with as much health as you possibly can, turn them around, and then your team will capitalize on that. If, however, they don't turn around, that's when you get into this situation right here, where AIM is just completely on top of the demo man. The demo man is forced to shoot at him, which he doesn't want to be doing. The demo man wants to be shooting the bulk of the team, but AIM is forcing him to turn around, defend himself, and he gets the easy demo man pick and comes right out of that. So it's a really good play there by AIM. Just gets the quick pick, and from here on, anything else is gravy, right? So he gets the one-on-one trade. As long as he gets the one-on-one trade, anything else he does past that, if he turns people around, if he forces an Uber, if he gets kills, anything past that is basically gravy. And you'd always trade a roamer for a demo man. Like a demo man for a roamer is a really good trade. So AIM already got a lot of value out of this play. He's coming back into middle, and he realized that the enemy team is completely stuck behind him. And this is a really good situation for his team because the enemy combo is stuck behind. They're not going to be able to regroup with the rest of his team, and AIM is just going to move on towards fourth point, get that easy cap down there. But yeah, if you're looking at the sort of in chess, they have different point values for different pieces to make you help you understand how much each piece is worth. And if a roaming soldier is worth 1 point, then a demo man is worth about 1.5 points. So demo man is always worth more than the roaming soldier. Right here, really easy for us in the enemy combo, and they're just going to go into last because the combo can't use their Uber to defend last point. So AIM is just going to rush right into last here and pretty much put a lot of cap time on last, and that's going to be the round right there for them. So quick first round for the Getawhale fan club. And again, on these middles, what you're looking for is AIM to be going for a flank or taking height advantage and then sort of gauging whether or not there's an opening, right? So when you're looking for these openings, it's like, are they looking at me or not? If they're looking at me, I play one way. If they don't look at me, I play another way. If they don't look at me, that's what happened in the first round, right? Easy kill on the demo man. Anything else is gravy. If they look at you, that's where you have to play different. And this is what we're going to see here in the second round as AIM sets up this middle. And when they're looking at you, it really depends which class is looking at you, right? Like if a Devilman is looking at you, like what happened in the first round, it really doesn't matter. The Devilman does a really poor job of defending himself. But in the second round, you're gonna see AIM here. He's gonna go for a high bomb off the left side and get the tower height advantage. He's right on top of this tower, and you can immediately see that the scouts on the left side are looking at him. There is no opening right here for him to take, so he's gonna just play it slow and sort of wait for the. You see how he ducks over here to the cafe? Ducking over to the cafe, sort of like it's like a magic trick, right? It's like, oh, now you see me, now you don't. Like he ducks over there, and the scouts completely forget that he exists. And it serves two purposes. One, if he was in the cafe, he could just easily grab the health pack, boom, and re-up. But he's already here. You can see in this game, he's already at full health. So he's just sort of just pulling himself off to the side, and they kind of forget about him. And now there's the opening once again. So he realizes the combo is rotated to the right side, so he jumps to the right. And look at this situation right here. He has 5 enemies that he could shoot at. So he's got a lot of opportunities here, and he's not okay. You want to be turning the enemy team around, but when that's not an option, what else can you do? You want to be landing a lot of rockets. You want to just hit like 30 to 70 damage rockets if you can. I mean, obviously directs are the best thing ever, but if you can just hit some splash rockets and not take that damage back, that's value right there, right? So for example, if I'm a roaming soldier and I take high ground, if I deal 100 damage to you and only take 30 damage in return, that's value, right? Like if on the other hand, though, like I hop up here on top of this bell tower and I take more damage than I do, then that's not value, right? So when he hops on top of this bell tower, when you're looking at this, image, you realize there's a lot of opportunities here for him to hit shots, and he's gonna just like start dealing out damage here, and they're gonna want to retaliate. Look at him dodging around and just not taking damage. So you can see by getting on top of the bell tower, he did a couple different things. He only took 62 damage in health. He dealt a lot of damage to the scout on the left side tower. He forced 2 soldiers to jump up there and look at him. I mean, look at this situation right here. 2 soldiers went for him. The Devilman shot up top on the bell tower, and there's a scout up there as well off the right side. So you can immediately see that like he's attracting a lot of ammo and only taking 60 damage for it, right? Like if any person hit a shot, it would do about 50 to 100 damage. So he basically received a lot of ammo towards him, and he only took 50 damage. That's a lot of value right there. Plus, he's putting the enemy team out of position. You can see the soldier on top of this bell tower is out of position. He's gonna go down. That's 2 picks right there, and another scout is going on top of him. So like he's really doing a great job of baiting himself and not taking a lot of damage. Like yes, he took 120 damage right there, but he pretty much baited everyone to chase him. He was safe the entire time, and it converted a lot of kills for his team. If they're not shooting at your teammates, then they're shooting at you. That's exactly what you want to be happening as a roaming soldier. So you might not be turning them around, but you're attracting enemies to shoot at you, and that's creating opportunities. And now AIM is in a situation where he can bomb the enemy medic who's trying to get out. He beefs his jump a little bit, and Sash gets out of there. Could be worse. And now you're in a situation where you could be sacrificing, right? So we were talking about the 2 different buckets. You can be holding or creating space. Looking at this situation right here, it's a 5-on-3, right? So you don't need to hold. The enemy team is not looking to push. All the enemy team is trying to do is just hold on to last point as tightly as they can and go, oh god, please, I don't want to lose this round, right? So you're not worried about them pushing out at all. So the holding the flank, check. Creating space, right? So creating space involves a lot of different things, jumping, making them shoot at you, but also like suicide plays is a really big part of playing roaming soldier. And whenever the Ubers are even and you're looking to break a stalemate, doing a suicide play is a great way to stop the stalemate from continuing on. And one of the things I really like about what AIM's about to do right here is that he's going to go for a sacrifice play and get the force on the medic. Right here, looking at the situation, you can see that the enemy Demoman is down Rikachu, and they're also down both scouts. And scouts are the best class at combating the roaming soldier. They basically are like anti-air. They just shoot roaming soldiers out of the air left and right because it hits scan. It's really difficult to miss. If it's a soldier, for example, trying to do air control, you got to hit a pretty nasty air shot. Pretty difficult to do, right? You got to wait till he lands on the ground. Whereas a scout can just sort of knock you out of the air and stop you from doing what you want to do. A Demoman can do something very similar as well, but more importantly, the Demoman doesn't have a trap up to stop him from coming in through that top right doorway. So AIM could potentially go for a suicide right now, but what he's going to instead do is go for a buff from his medic, and I really like that decision. Just gives him a lot of health, gives him options. The enemy medic isn't really in a position he can bomb anyways, but once he gets the second buff, now is the situation where he can go for this bomb. A scout has come here to challenge him, but AIM can easily jump over the left wall and get away from him. And look at this player here. Boom, boom, forces the medic. Great job from AIM. And I really liked the decision there. He's like, he comes out the right side. He knows the enemy has been buffing and been hiding in this left corner, and it's just not like a situation where they're able to defend against that. So he just bombs in, gets the force, and gets out. And unfortunately, looking back at this game, Nursey used Uber as well. A bit of a misplay from Nursey and the team is just sort of being too close and getting forced. What you wanted to do was have AIM get the force, not use Uber, and then push in last with the Uber advantage. But it's okay. Things are just going to even out again. So again, talking about two different buckets, right? So that was the creating space bucket. Now we're going back to the holding the flank bucket. So when you had that 5-on-3 push, you're not worried about them flanking you. But now that it's 6-on-6 even Ubers, you're thinking, okay, they might push out of last. I'm going to do my job. I'm going to hold the flank. And Soldier, if you're looking at the situation, Soldier's really good at holding a flank. Look at where AIM is holding. He's not holding right up against the doorway. He's holding pretty far back, right next to the health pack, and just making sure they can't flank him. And he's pretty confident now that they're not going to flank, so he's just kind of peeking this left side, sees that they have a sniper. And the second he sees they have a sniper, he knows that they're not going to be pushing out anytime soon. You do not push out with a sniper. The sniper is used as a way to defend last from range and maybe get an early pick as the enemy team pushes last. So AIM's job, he knows he doesn't have to cover underneath anymore. He's just thinking, okay, oh, well, now they just lost their scout. So now he's thinking, okay, the enemy team's going to push. So prior to that, again, he was holding the flank, saw they had a sniper, didn't need to worry about holding the flank anymore. But now that his scout got sniped, he needs to be worried about them pushing out again, right? And he has one objective here, which is to force the enemy Uber as best he can. Now, we're talking about getting value out of your plays. Forcing the enemy Uber and then not losing any health and not dying is like 100% like the best play possible, right? If you can force the Uber, not die, and take 0 damage, you're a god, okay? Now, obviously, that's not going to happen very often, so what would be a decent value trade? A 1-for-1 trade, like if I gave 1 for your 1, I would be giving up my roaming soldier. If I can give up like a player and a half, that would be worth it, you know? So like if I could give up like a demo man for an Uber, I think that would be an even trade. If I trade a roamer for your Uber, that is a value trade for the roaming soldiers team. That's a value for my team. If I suicide, get you to force, that's value for my team. If the enemy team gets 2 kills with their Uber, that's not value. Okay, so that's anti-value. That's good for them. So what you're trying to do is trade at maximum 1.5. Like if you trade your demo man for a force, that's okay, but it's not ideal. You want to be trading like a roaming soldier for a force. Now a wreck already went down, so that's 1 out of the 2 kills that Kwai 5-0 needs to get value out of their Uber. So AIM, what he's going to try and do here is force the enemy combo without dying. And we go back into this game, and AIM is not looking like he's in a good situation right here. The enemy combo is about to round the corner. He doesn't know this right now, but AIM is going to try and force this Uber. So he sees the combo, he forces that Uber, and he gets basically out. I think that's mostly value, right? So I think he did a pretty good job here. Now I'm looking at the camera, and we've already taken 30% off of the enemy Uber. So what Nursey's thinking right here, the medic, you can see through the see-through body, is thinking, okay, they already popped 3 seconds or like 3 seconds off of their Uber, so I'm just gonna pop second, and maybe we could get a last push out of this. It's gonna be kind of difficult because they have a better Uber, but they're actually down a player, so they would need to get like 2 kills to even this out. And right here you're gonna see AIM just have to like go for a desperation Uber into last, goes for the bomb. He gets 1 kill, so that's kind of your 1-for-1. But then they did use Uber, and so then you're kind of like, it's kind of confusing right there, right? It's kind of confusing. Like, okay, was that a worthwhile trade or not? But given the circumstances, it's actually kind of decent, right? Like if you look back at the situation right here, you'll see that it's a 5-on-4. They lost a wreck. So you don't have to count a wreck, so it's basically a 4-on-4, right? A wreck is just a respawner, so it's a 4-on-4. They have a slightly better Uber, so at the end of this, Getawhale fan club did come out with a little bit of value. They're trying to get this capture point down, but it's gonna be tough with all these respawners. So Nursey does the right call and just pulls back out to 4th point. But yeah, AIM turned what would be a bad situation, like he turned what would be a terrible situation of him getting caught out in lobby into a decent one where he forced enemy Uber, jumped into last, and killed the enemy soldier, right? So like the worst case scenario that could have happened right there was a wreck gets sniped, AIM is stuck in the lobby by himself and gets killed by the enemy combo and doesn't force Uber. That would be terrible. That would be the worst thing ever. They would get the 2 kills that they needed without even having used the Uber, like you'd be in an absolutely horrible situation. But because AIM was able to get the force, get out of there with 100 health, and then Nursey popped the Uber and he got a kill with that, then it's kind of okay, right? So AIM played that situation very well given the circumstances. And now you're hopping into a situation in this where it's a 4-on-4. Nursey has advantage, and you need to immediately like get into 4th point and deny the enemy team from pushing out a last. And you can see AIM getting this health pack on the left side, and now he's going into sort of like a holding mode, but it's kind of like a recovery mode. He's hitting shots on the demo man. He's like, you know, forcing them out, and the enemy combo just doesn't want to challenge the Uber. I think if AIM was a little bit faster, they could have even Ubered on the enemy combo, but given the circumstances, it was totally fine. AIM wasn't prepared to like just Uber into the enemy team right there. So it looks like they're about to do it here. Yeah, they pop AIM and Goldfish left side. Nice rockets there from AIM. He gets the kill on that scout, and now he forces the enemy combo. So they just have to kite this away and come back in and collapse on this. So in an even Uber scenario, if you can force the enemy Uber and get a kill, you came out on top. So they forced the Uber, they got the kill, they just need to kite away and not lose anyone of their own. And AIM is the weakest member on the team with 84 health, and he's just safely out top right side. So this is just a beautiful play by him. And now they're kind of resetting things. AIM is going to get an arrow here from Nursey, and then they're going to re-push back into last with that 1-man advantage. Now Slimnish is dead, so this is their moment. They have 5 seconds right now to make something happen. AIM hops on the last point, puts a lot of cap time. That's going to draw people back towards the last point cap. AIM now takes the height advantage, lands a couple rockets on the demo man, recollapses back onto the point. He dies himself here, but it's going to allow his team to win the 2v2, and that's going to be a 2-0 lead for the Getawhale fan club. So already we're seeing some pretty good gameplay from AIM, and you can see that like he's utilizing the entire toolbox there as a roaming soldier, right? So he's making space where he needs to. He's getting decent trades. He's actually like holding and not losing too much health when he does that. So it's actually really good gameplay here. And we're only going to watch 1/2 of this match for this demo, but you're kind of getting an idea of what you need to do as roaming soldier, right? You need to bomb out, make space, not like you need to do more damage than you're taking. And if you can get value out of these trades, that'd be great. Now AIM here is going to go for this left side jump, and the idea with so as far as Sunshine goes, or as far as any map goes, you want to mix up where you're going on these middles, right? If you go the same way every single time, you're gonna get caught. People are gonna figure you out, and it's gonna be bad. And you can see we've watched 3 middles from AIM, and he's already done 3 different rollouts. Pretty impressive. First mid, he went towards the deep right, jumped in, got the demo man. Nice. Second mid, goes for the left, jumps on the tower, and then does a sort of weird bell tower play where he's able to get good damage like trades, right? This third mid, he goes for the left side alley, but the combo is just not there. Like if you look back at this game, he's on the left side of the map, the combo's on the right side of the map. So AIM is kind of in the wrong spot. Like if he were to do this again, if he were to correctly predicted where he was going to go, he should have done the first rollout that he did in the first mid, where he came out of the cafe, and that would immediately put him in a position to do a bomb with high health. Right now he's at 144 health, and he's stuck on the left side of the map on the wrong side. So and he's also not on the tower like he was in the second mid. So he's kind of in the wrong spot right here, and he needs to sort of figure out what he's going to do. So he's going to bomb towards the right side cafe. He's got 184 health, not ideal. What is he going to do from here, right? He needs to, well, you're looking at his team, right? His team is kind of following behind him on the right side, and AIM, he just kind of needs to slow down, allow his team to catch up in the middle, but he's going to go for a pretty rushed bump on the right side, and ends up giving his life for it. So not the best middle from AIM. Like, not every mid's going to be a winner, but that one in particular just wasn't ideal, right? Like he was on the wrong side of the map, then he crossed over to the right side, goes for a bomb, doesn't have as many rockets loaded as he wanted to, isn't as high as health as he wanted to, and then like tries to salvage that by getting out. Like if you're gonna go for an all-in bomb, you might as well go all in. He tried to like halvesies. He tried to go like for a bomb, but then like make it out alive. And if he made it out alive, he would have been a god. Like he would have. Like he died at choke, so the enemy team is like looking at choke. That would be pretty godlike. But instead he dies, and now the enemy team has number advantage. So like his team is just gonna get forced out of middle. And I wish he didn't die as quickly as he did. Like the previous 2 mids, he did a really good job of staying alive. That last mid, he died very early on, and that's gonna cost his team. So that's what we were talking about earlier, as far as like, you know, not doing as much damage as you could and just taking more damage than you're doing, right? Like I think he landed one rocket on the combo and he just died. So not really worth it. So now you're in a situation where going back into this game, you have a 6-on-5. It's potential for you to push in the middle. And you don't have Uber quite yet, but you can. The enemy team kind of assumes you have Uber, right? He's so close to Uber. So AIM is thinking about getting this pressure on this hold. He's holding this left side down, not taking damage. He's at full health, and now he's gonna get a buff from Mercy, which is acceptable. He's gonna cross over to the right side. So now you're back into holding mode, right? And when you're in holding mode, you just want to not take damage. You just want to chill out. Roaming soldier out of nowhere. All right, so AIM just gets a free frag that way. The enemy soldier just basically handed that to him on a silver platter, and now they're gonna begin pushing in the middle and try and do an Uber exchange solo. So, right, the enemy soldier messed up, right? Like he jumped in, he thought the cafe was open, and it turns out like a soldier stat was there, and AIM was able to get the free kill. So. Nice job. You have the one-man advantage. Now you need to convert that into something bigger. You need to snowball that and take over middle. And what AIM is going to try and do is get the health in the cafe and then sort of like make a play with it. But the Ubers are already exchanged, right? So the enemy has two ways that they could play this. They could either back out and try not to use Uber, or they could just play up and use the Uber and try and get a solo exchange. And what happens here is that you're going to see Nursey uses the Uber. That's going to force Sash to use the Uber. And AIM has nothing left to do. Like, once the Ubers are used, his job is done, right? So he just needs to survive, wait for the Ubers to come off, and then recollapse back in. That's what we were talking about earlier when they were pushing last point. It's sort of like, get the Ubers forced and a kill, wait for the Ubers to subside, and then you can come back in and then do a bunch of damage or take a high advantage or something, basically, that allows you to do more damage than you're taking, right? So once the Ubers are exchanged, you can see here that Nursey has a pretty bad Uber, and he's actually Nursey's gonna back off, and so now AIM is gonna go for like a counter sack thing, and it ends up being like a really bad decision because he gets like one rocket on the demo man who's not even hurt and then dies himself. So that one-man advantage that they had before just completely gets thrown away by AIM, and he just like throws it away running through choke. It would have been a good idea if people were more hurt. Like if AIM had heard like, oh, everyone's hurt at choke, like I want to jump in and help in and like get some kills, that would have been fine. But he just jumps in, does one rocket on a fully health demo man, and then dies himself. So it's just not a very good play right there. The idea was okay if people were hurt, but I think he just either missed comms from his team or just like he just messed up. Like it wasn't a good play. So now he's in a situation where his medic died. He needs to get this Uber force as early as possible. So you can see he's playing up in lobby. He's actually just trying to get information for his team. They're setting up a sentry on the back left side of last, and AIM, he just wants to make sure that he can like play up and figure out where the enemy combo is coming from. He knows that they're coming top left, so he's going to bomb top left, shoots a couple rockets on the soldier, and that's going to force the Uber, and that's, again, not the best play, but it's okay, right? Like we were talking earlier about acceptable Uber exchanges. Giving up one roaming soldier for an Uber is okay. I wish he would have stayed alive, especially when you're on defense, but that's all right. So like early on in the match, we were talking about how if you sacrifice as a roamer and get an Uber, that's a good thing. It's a good thing when you factor in the actual like defensive offensive advantage, and this is something pretty nuanced for you new players, but for those of you guys who've been playing for a long time, you kind of understand the value of defensive advantage, where I have all the doors locked down. Like I have my sentries set up, like I know I have height advantage, I know which doors you're coming through, like that has value, right? And when you're trying to figure out how much value that's worth about half a player. So we're talking about demo man's worth a player and a half, a roaming soldier's worth worth a full player. That defensive advantage is worth half a player, right? Like you can kind of get like you could eke out an advantage using just defensive advantage alone if you're good enough, and by throwing himself away right there, you're kind of giving away the defensive advantage and your life. So it comes out to a 1.5 man like trade. Does that make sense? Like he could have stayed alive and gotten a force without dying, but I could see what he's trying to do there, like getting the force top left, but by giving his life away, it's like an even trade, and because they were going to use Uber anyways, it ends up working out poorly. Like it's not working to his favor. What I would have preferred to see is he just like jump up on top of that ledge and shoot down at the doorway and get the force, and then like jump out and force them to chase him a little bit and use ammo on him. But because they killed him so quickly, like they killed him in 2 shots, and that was right before the push was about to happen. Like, you saw that they used the Uber, then killed him, like, or they killed him and then used the Uber, kind of. It's not ideal. Like, you want, as a roaming soldier, you want them to use a lot of ammo on you and not do a lot of damage. And what happened there was the opposite. Like, they used hardly any ammo and they got a quick kill before the Uber was even used. So not the best play from him. Luckily, that sentry play from Link User ended up working out for his team, and they were able to hold on to the last point. So it ends up working out for Getawhale Fan Club, but I just would have liked to see a slightly better play there from AIM. And it doesn't really matter. The point is they have Uber advantage. They're going to be pushing in towards middle, and AIM is trying to set up for this push, right? So we were talking about, again, the two buckets, right? Making space or holding. Obviously, they're not holding here. They're going to try and push with this Uber advantage. So how do you make space? Well, as a roaming soldier on the full Uber advantage push, you actually don't even need to make that much space. Like, unless the enemy team is playing super far back and letting you in for free, that's probably not going to happen. So what you're using to make the space isn't the roaming soldier. You're actually going to use the Uber instead. So the Uber's going to make space. AIM's job is to not take a lot of damage and just cover the flank a little bit. So he's just pushing out this right side, making sure they don't get back capped, right? That's key, is covering this cafe, make sure there's no back cap. Unfortunately, there is a roamer called behind, so AIM's going to loop back around towards choke. That roaming soldier did a really good job. Remedy did a really good job distracting them. But they do pick up the 2 frags anyways, and that was a pretty good play there from Getawhale. Now they're going to try and snowball that into an even larger lead. AIM is going to try and go for a bomb, and I'm not quite sure. Like, I've watched this a couple times. I'm not quite sure if he beefed that jump or if that was what he intended to do. I'm going to rewind or you can rewind the demo on the YouTube video and like try and watch it again. Like, he bombs off the wall, comes straight down. I'm pretty sure he just botched the jump, because it's a 6-on-4, and if he got a suicide there on Sash, he would have gotten a really sick Uber force out of that. And instead, he just like lands at the base of the lighthouse and doesn't do anything. So I'm pretty sure he messed up right there. I could see what he's going for, though, right? Like, because the enemy is 2 soldiers down, if AIM dies, there's nothing lost there. Like, there's nothing lost. It's a totally fine play. If he gets the force and dies, that's value. That's getting something out of that death. So, like, breaking even would be just straight up dying, nothing happening. Anything past that, a kill, an Uber force, anything on that is awesome. So you can see AIM messes up that jump, and he's playing Lighthouse here, and he's just going to get absolutely dunked on by the enemy demo man and just killed. They do get the Uber force, but at what cost, right? They lose their demo man and 2 soldiers. So that's just definitely not what you want. You do not want to be losing 3 players for an Uber force, and that mistake right there is gonna end up costing Getawhale Fan Club a lot. They're gonna lose middle. They're gonna they might even lose their second point, because even though ESEA has Uber advantage, like, this 3-man advantage is enough for them to Getawhale Fan Club luckily got that forward spawn in time. If they didn't get that forward spawn, then Kawaii 5-0 would have been able to just roll that right into second. But because they got these forward spawns, they're able to hold off this alleyway push. And the combined spam of all the heavies on Getawhale Fan Club is what chases these guys back out. So you can see Kawaii 5-0 running away. That's because ESEA has Uber advantage. But Sass is just about to get it right here. And so AIM is going to try and make some space off the left side. He's pretty banged up. And if he makes it out of this, he's a god. Okay, he's so lucky he got out of that. That could have been ugly. But now they have that Uber coming back in there. They're able to force them back out of middle. And AIM is going to take height advantage over this alleyway. So slowing things down again, pretty scrappy back and forth, right? I think if Getawhale Fan Club was playing that cleaner, if they were playing that better, that whole situation could have been avoided, right? Like, they got lucky in a couple ways. They lost 3 players to the Uber, right? Then they backed out and just barely got that forward spawn. And then we're able to hold off Kawaii 5-0 for just a little bit longer. And then they somehow eked out an Uber force on Sash early. Like, that whole chain of events there ends up being more of a Kawaii 5-0 failure than it ends up being like a Getawhale Fan Club failure. And because Kawaii 5-0 tried to snowball it but didn't have enough resources, they lost that Uber situation and had to lose middle. So, like, you saw middle change hands like 3 times because of mistakes on both sides. So getting back in towards this game, it's going to be even Ubers, but because Remedy is dead, AIM is positioning himself for a push. So he's just pushing up here, getting this health pack, and he's going to try and make space for his team. Does good damage to the scout, and it looks like Link User's gonna or Rex gonna chase in to try and follow up on that, but he dies to the enemy roaming soldier, and AIM is just way too hurt to help out on this. So he's gonna bail, get the health pack, but he still wants this push to happen. They just got the pick on the Demo Man Rikachu, so AIM is trying to get this kill. Does get the kill on the SLIN. That's a pretty big one right there. Evens that situation out where they have the I'd say right here it's a one-man advantage. Like they got the Demo Man killed and they have control of middle point, so that's a one-man advantage, like a two-man advantage. Well, it's like a one-man advantage. So we were talking earlier about defensive advantage versus offensive advantage. You do have an advantage when you're defending, right? But only if you're set up for it. And because there's been this scrappy fighting, they're not set up for it. And also, the forward spawn is a half-man advantage as well. That usually evens out the defensive advantage. But in this situation, because they have the forward spawns, and Rikachu's dead, and the enemy team is not prepared to defend these chokes, AIM is able to walk through this choke point for free here. And you can see him goes for this bomb. The soldier's not looking at him. Easy pick. Gets another rocket here on the scout, and that's going to be 2 picks. So AIM just played that really, really well. Had just like a very clear understanding of the advantages. Able to come back in, get those 2 picks, and for some reason, Kwai 5-0 makes this terrible decision to Uber in and block the point. You almost never want to be doing this. Like looking at the situation right here, you can see that they're down 2 players when they use the Uber. You need to get a 2-man advantage when you use the Ubers. You cannot be 2-man down. Like if you get 2 kills right here, all you're doing is equalizing. So like pretty much the only way this Uber succeeds is if you get like 3 kills with this Uber, and that's not going to happen with 1 soldier. So it's a really, really bad Uber here from Kwai 5-0, and AIM smartly ducks out and just kites this Uber away. The pocket soldier actually over chases, and that's probably going to be a free frag. Yep, a wreck picks that one up there, and AIM now just bombs it. Now that they're just punishing them for this terrible play. Like, they get the pocket, they get the medic, and they get the Demo Man and an extra scout. Like, that was a really bad play from Kwai 5-0. AIM did a great job of capitalizing on it. And he's going to pick up this 1-for-1 trade here in left lobby. So this is just going to be a free round here for the Getawhale fan club off of Kwai 5-0's mistake. And that's going to be the round right there. Cool. All right. So I know I talked pretty quickly. I know we talked a lot about roaming soldier, but let me close out of this. Yeah. What I would say is try and get the most value that you can out of your plays. Doesn't matter what class you're playing, but specifically on roaming soldier, you are an expendable class that can also create a lot of opportunities for your team if done properly. And in that last play specifically, AIM's heads up play allowed him to get the soldier pick, a scout pick, and then the bad play from Kwai 5-0, which is what allowed them to win that round completely one-sidedly. I hope you learned a lot from this demo. I want to do more of these in the future, and yeah, give me some feedback in the comments below. When you guys are going to go play roaming soldier in your own game, just remember, like, you're either holding or making space. When you're making space, you want to go for high value plays, high percentage plays where you're doing a lot of damage and not taking a lot of damage in return. When you're holding, it should be a guaranteed I'm not taking any damage, right? And we saw a couple times in that match where AIM made some mistakes on defense and it cost him his life, especially going for a couple Uber forces. But for the most part, he played really well in that match, and I think you guys can emulate a lot of the plays that you saw there. So I'll see you guys on the next video or on my stream. Catch you next time.